We are here with Anna. Hello. Can you give us a bit of backstory about who you are, how you got to be the successful artist you are, and the whole road to get there, I guess?
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. So I'm Anna, and I go by Anna the artist because it kind of sounds nice. I've been an artist my whole life. Honestly, like since I could hold a pencil, I've been making different drawings, and my mom would always get so mad at me because I would push the couch back at like 3 years old and make me little murals on like the walls of my childhood home. So I've just like always knew I've wanted to do this. And for the last 3 years, I've been able to go fully full time with my business. And it's kind of just been something that I feel like I was born with. I was born with this like instinct to create. And I knew that that's what I wanted to do with the rest of my life, which I've come to learn growing up has been like a bit rare. So I worked my whole life to get here. I taught myself how to do like hyper realistic portraiture when I was in middle school and the beginning of high school, and then was able to get into this trade school out in Clackamas because I am based in Vancouver, Washington, just is right across the river from Portland, which is a super big art scene, which is incredible and definitely helped inspire me growing up because Vancouver wasn't super artsy yet. It is now, which is incredible. But Portland was like the place to be. So I was able to cross the river and go and do trade school over there where I specialized in hyper-realistic portraiture and was kind of given, I guess, like better guidelines on how to do it consistently. Because when I was younger, teaching myself, I would run into problems where maybe like 1 out of 3 tries was perfect and it looked exactly how I wanted. But I like couldn't always replicate it and it was driving me crazy. So going to school really helped me be able to just solidify like all my techniques so that I could duplicate it again and again and do it every time the way I wanted. And thankfully, I was able to actually end up teaching there for a little bit, which was really cool. I ended up being the figure drawing teacher and learning how to like teach people ended up showing me that like it really cemented all of the things I had learned the 2 years prior. And it was crazy. I've been able to take that like teaching and change it not just to be teaching college level courses, but teaching sip and paints and being able to make something beautiful like this art piece behind me, which is a floral for those on the podcast, and be able to teach people a more simplified version so that they don't just leave a sip and paint with some nice trees and a little bit of a mountain background, but it's something that's actually like unique to them. And because I just love that. I don't like doing the same thing every time with people. I like helping them be able to express their creativity. So that school and being able to teach really just helped me blossom my creativity and learn how to like cement everything down. And then after that, I moved to New Zealand for a while, which was so fun. I ended up not painting for that time. I painted like here and there, but nothing crazy. I like picked up my camera and started taking more photos. Did a lot of weddings over there, a lot of nature photography. And
Where
it was
was
incredible.
it?
In New Zealand.
New Zealand. Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, it was just the best. So beautiful. And everyone there is so creative. The culture is just like so rich that anywhere you'd be, you'd just be inspired to create something. And I knew that I wasn't going to be able to bring back canvases when I moved back to the States. So I just decided I'll paint a little bit, but then mostly take photos so that when I come home, I can return to the studio and paint like crazy, which is exactly what I did. I had to come back during COVID and because visas and everything. So I ended up coming back and living with some mentors for a while who were just incredible. And they sat me down with a bottle of wine and a laptop and said, "You're starting your business. This is what you're doing. You can't leave until your website's done. Here's a bottle of wine." And I was like, okay, sure. So I was tired because it was 10 p.m., but I was up till like 2 a.m. fixing this website because they wouldn't let me go to bed until they were like, it looks good.
I feel like everybody needs a mentor like that, because how many of us, especially in the beginning, are like, I'll make a website one day, and then that one day it's a year later and 2 years. It's like just sit down and do it with a bottle of wine. I love it.
Exactly. And cheese and snacks, it was perfect. But I probably would have gotten to it one day. But honestly, yeah, it was such a big deal that they sat down and were like, you're doing this. Because they ran their own massage therapy business. So they knew all the things that I needed to do. They were like, you're doing your website, you're getting your business license, and you're starting. So I started in 2020 back in the States. And then by 2021, I was able to go full time. I had been a nanny and a barista at that time. And I'd made a goal of like, if I can have 3 to 6 months of expenses in my savings and pay my rent, then I can go full time. And thankfully, I was able to go full time. I think it was October 2021. And I had this amazing client. They were creating this memorization program for kids, and I was just doing graphic design work for them, which was super fun. Definitely not what I was like aiming to go for. The goal has always been art commissions and murals. Murals have just always captivated me. But I was like, this is getting me to my goal. And through that, I was able to have the time to invest in my community. So downtown Vancouver is a very like up and coming town. There's a lot of small businesses moving into it, but it was like just starting when I moved home. And I was able to spend all my time going to networking meetings, all my time hanging out with all the business owners and just being like, hey, so I'm here. If you need a mural, just let me know. Like, just let me know. And I was like so wildly like persistent that one day this one amazing lady comes up. She goes, okay, you can finally stop asking me. Here's a wall.
I love it.
And it was so funny. It was great. So I travel a lot for work. So I was in Arkansas for a photo shoot when I got the message from her. So I was designing the project while I was gone, got her approval, came back. And then the next day I was like on the wall painting, thrilled out of my mind. And we do this thing in Vancouver called Spruce the Couve. It's like a little cleanup rally, and the winner gets like a pizza party for their staff. It's like for the businesses. So they ended up winning, which got the city excited about me. And then I was able to connect with the city of Vancouver, which was so fun. Do some graphic design work for them, which was like, you know, those banners on like the city that say like downtown Vancouver or like Michigan, or Michigan's a state, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I started making for them until there was this one project that really got me to where I am now with like just the credibility and like the consistent incoming work. They had this guy who wanted to design this one piece that was going to be on the side of this really big building in Vancouver, but it was also it was on a church building. So they didn't want it to be like super like controversial. They wanted it to be more friendly. And it was a beautiful piece of art that this artist had created, but it was more fit for a skate park than the side of a church. And the like pastor who owned the building was like not very keen. So I was just chatting with my client about an entirely different project, and he just asked for my point of view on like what I would put up there, because he was just trying to figure out what to do. He's like, I have to put something there, but I don't know what to do. And we sat there and we came up with this beautiful like heart and floral piece that I ended up putting on that side of the building about 3 or 6 months later. That really just connected with downtown, because Vancouver is a space where people are very prideful about being here. They like love it. And the piece is called like the Heart of Vancouver, and it's a yellow heart to like share about like friendship and connection and community with all these local PNW flowers coming out of it to like express growth and how our community has been growing over time. And from there, I've been able to connect with different clients because of like the visibility of this mural. And yeah, it's been incredible.
Awesome. How old are you?
I'm 23.
You're 23. Okay.
Yeah.
So you are getting an early start. I love it. Okay. Well, I love that, because when I was younger as well. Like, I used to be a really shy kid, but I really knew what I wanted as well, and I
Mhm.
was like, "I'm just gonna go for it." And you seem like persistence might be your secret sauce that you've got going on, and you're just like, "I'm gonna do it." So
Oh, 100%. Because I bet you probably relate, like, being told being an artist, you're gonna be this, like, starving artist, and you're gonna be on the street, like, "Oh, no," and graffiti is bad, but realize and you, like, take a step back that, like, there's a way to make it happen, and, like, the only way to get there is to just keep trying.
yeah, for sure. So you never really considered any other vocation. You're just like, "I'm gonna be an artist for sure."
100%. I, like, maybe thought about opening a coffee shop one day, but then I worked for, like, a mom and pop shop and went, "Nope, I don't wanna do this."
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I worked for a mom and pop coffee shop breakfast thing as
Mhm,
too, and anytime we go into one nowadays, actually we went into one this morning, and like the
mhm.
smell of the kitchen and all that, I'm like, oh no, 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 I just it's not for me.
100%. I can't even go in sometimes and, like, look at the trash and not wanna take it out. I, like, worked in it for 5 years. I was like, "But the trash is overfilling. Someone has to do it." And I'm like, "This isn't even my coffee shop that I worked in."
I love it. Okay. All right. So do you still do some photography?
Yes, I do. I shoot about 2 to 5 weddings a year. I'm really picky about my brides because I wanna make sure that I can just treat them to, like, the best experience ever. And I do love photography, but I just know that it's such a personal thing. And especially with weddings, like I want to be able to take their engagement photos and have a beautiful wedding with them and then give them a beautiful wedding album. And I just can't do that with everybody. So I try and like file it down so that I can
So
put
you
my
like weed
all into
out
those few.
Yeah, so you like weed out the budget customers? Is that what you're saying?
Kind of, but also, like, depends on the personality too.
Yeah.
Like, I would like to make it work for the budget customers if our, like, personalities really jive and the style that I have matches with their style, I'm willing to make it work, because it feels to me with the I've worked so many weddings that it's all about personalities and jiving. So
Yeah.
that'll like make or break a day. I worked weddings as like a coffee person and as a bartender, and I've seen some photographers crush it. And I've seen some not so much. And it's in my like personal opinion, it's because of like the personality clash between the bride and the photographer. And I
Mm.
never want to be the person that like ruins their day, you know?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So do you find that that's a thing with murals? Or
Ooh.
what kind of customers do you usually have with murals and painting?
With with murals, I feel like it's very important to jive with your clients, like personality wise, but it's not as important as in photography because you're creating an art piece for them. And about 80% of the time, you're not even with your client, you're just on the wall. And then, like, the 20% is like getting to know them, seeing what they want, getting your contract sorted, payments, and then you're going. So it's more about making sure that you can understand what they want and like display what they want.
Mm. True. Okay, yeah, I didn't even think about that because
Mhm.
with a camera, you're taking pictures of them, like, you are working with them the whole time, so you
Mhm.
have to be able to like, the smile has to be real and all of
Exactly.
that. Okay. Okay, yeah, haven't done any photography, as you can tell, but I
Oh, it's an interesting way to be creative, but it's so much fun. But it's
Mm.
so much more interpersonal than creating an art piece for somebody because you want it to fit their home. But I've had a client before, they're lovely family, more introverted. And I'm a rather extroverted person. I
I
like
can tell.
want to talk with people and get to know them. And they were just like, this is what we want. Can you do it? And I was like, yeah. They're like, okay. And then that was it. And then I did it. And they were like, we like it. I went, amazing. And then I
Great.
went home and I was like, did they like it? But they did because they've texted me later and be like, we really love it. They're just not as like
Yeah,
bubbly in person.
expressive. Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure. Okay, so how do you now get your customers for painting? And do you do commissions or murals or what's your main form of art?
My main form of art that's like an income would be murals. So I do, gosh, I think I've been doing murals for 2 years. I think I've done over 30 now, which has been so fun. And then I do commissions as well, but not as often. I'm a little more picky about what I do for commissions
Okay.
because they're so fun because you can have them be a little more intricate but most people just want a very like graphic design, block art kind of thing where it's your majority of the time you're painting a big thing, but you're doing layers on layers on layers instead of something more detailed like a Renaissance style painting. But when it comes to commissions, most people want like a Renaissance style painting, so it'll take a bit longer.
Yeah, so true. What kind of people are you painting for? Mostly businesses, or how are they finding you?
Yeah, so they're finding me a lot via Instagram and word of mouth. So I do a lot of work with the city, and because of that, I get a lot of like eyeballs on my work. And people will find my Instagram through my like little artist tag, and then they'll message me and say, "Hey, like I found your mural. I love it. I would love for you to come paint a painting in my home, or we'd love for you to do like a small commission for us, like a canvas painting," which has been super fun way to find clients. But then word of mouth through different businesses has been amazing. I've done a lot of different work for small businesses, specifically in Vancouver and like the Portland area. And then outside of that, it's like residential work, like in homes. I did like a pantryway mural one time and then a few living rooms, which is so fun.
Okay, so you say you work with the city or
Yes.
murals in the city? Okay, so you're working with the city. What kind of contact?
Yeah, so I'd be like a contractor to them. So they
Yeah.
kind of reach out to me and they're like, "Hey, we need new banners for the holidays. Can you do some graphic design work for us?" Or we have this wall that we've been trying to figure out what to do with. And kind of whenever they don't know what to do with a wall, they'll reach out to me so that we can kind of troubleshoot it, figure it out. And then I normally end up being the one painting it, which is so much fun.
Yeah, okay. So when you're working with the city of Vancouver,
Mhm.
who is your contact? Like what is their title?
It's called the Vancouver Downtown Association. So it's a
Okay.
nonprofit that like really focuses on beautifying the city and making sure the streets are clean and everything is looking friendly and welcoming to new people coming and for the residents living there.
Okay, so it's like a beautification committee within the
Hmm.
city. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then it's funded through donations?
Yeah. Donations and grants.
Okay, so they're applying for the grants and they're getting the donations and they're coming to you and saying, "We wanna fill this wall with color."
Yeah.
And then do you have to so you create the graphic and then do they have to get bids from other artists as well?
Depends on the project. The last two that I've done with them, I've been the only artist that was considered for the project. And we just kind of troubleshooted concept ideas. And from there, we decided on the final. And then I went from there. And I normally charge through square footage. So they'll have like a certain amount of grants. And if my fee is more than the grant, they'll find another grant to apply for.
Oh, great. What is your
Mhm.
normal square footage price range?
It depends on the client. My regular is 25 to 30 per square foot. And then with nonprofits, I give them like a 15% discount because they're nonprofits. I want to make sure that
Yeah.
I take care of my people.
Okay. Okay. So how big are these murals that you're doing? So like what's the average price of project that you're doing lately?
Oh man. The project I'm currently working on is it's 600 feet long,
Oh, wow.
but 3 feet high.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's
Your
been a
back.
journey. It's yeah, my back is destroyed, but it's worth it. It's on an overpass, and so it's like cut up in two. So it's two 300 feet long walls, and it's this whole garden project. So
Oof.
basically, there's this community garden that it's inspired by, and once it's complete, which will hopefully be the end of June, it'll be like walking through a garden, but it'll never die. So in the years, like the months of seasonal depression in the Pacific Northwest, we'll still have vibrant flowers to go see and look at. And that project cost, I think it was around 20,000.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
You're 23 and making $20,000 on projects. That is pretty great.
It's been a lot of work, and I am really grateful to be here. It's insane.
Yeah.
I never thought this would really work, and then it did, and you're just like, oh, now we're here.
You're like, whoa, that's awesome. I love to see that you're getting started so early because I have so many people who come to me who choose the wrong career path, and they just, they just don't either follow what they really want to do, or they were advised to go somewhere else, and they're, 30 and 40 with kids, and they're like, and it's really cool to see that you're doing it from a young age as well. So I ran into this when I was young. I guess probably maybe a little bit younger than when you were, but people like didn't take me seriously sometimes because I was so young. Do you run into that at all?
100%. When I went full time, I was 21. So I felt like I would play dress up. I have all these blazers and these trousers and high heel boots. I would slick my hair back. I've got really curly hair, like you can see. And I would try my best to be like, okay, don't let them ask how old you are, and don't let them ask if you went to school. Go. And then I would just fake it as hard as I could. And I'd try and use big words. I look back and it's like a bit embarrassing because I'm like, oh my God.
That's so funny. Well, you got the jobs, or at least some of them.
Exactly. So now that I have a bit of credibility under my belt, but when I had no murals, I was just like, we can do this.
Yeah. You find it's getting easier now that you're a couple years or a few years in, you're 3 years in, and you're doing $20,000 projects. Do you feel like it's more of, this is kind of an everyday thing, or do you still have that like drive and that fight to be like, I will paint for you, and like stuff like, do you feel like you're still hustling or no?
Definitely still hustling.
Okay.
I don't know if the hustle stops. I ask people and I
It
feel
does.
like it does.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then you
That
get
is good.
spoiled. I am spoiled. But it's cool to see. It's good that you have the energy to do it and the want. And it's like, it bleeds on to everybody else too. Just hearing like that you're gonna go for it. It's good to hear.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a lot. And it takes a lot of energy and a lot of time, but it's so worth it because there's nothing else I've wanted to do. And I've had, like you were saying, like a lot of people try and steer me in different directions, tell me to go to college or go and do this thing or do that thing. But I've realized, like, I'm 23, single, I don't have any kids. This is the time to bet on myself.
Yeah.
And if I can pay my rent and pay my bills, then I'm going to keep doing it. If I can't pay my rent and pay my bills, then I'll get a part-time job. And that's always my like rule. Like, as long as I can pay my bills, let's keep doing it. Let's run it as far as we can. See if I'm like a wave that ever reaches shore, or how deep am I in the ocean? Like, I want to try and do this as long and as hard as I possibly can.
Yeah, for sure. What do your parents think of it? I remember when I told my dad and my mom I was going into art, they were like, okay, good. Now they're like, yeah, it's a really good thing you did that. I'm like, yeah.
Very much the same situation. My dad's like a very big businessman. My mom's artistic, but she's more in like the education world. So she wanted me to go to college, and so did my dad. And when I sat them down and was like, no, I'm going to go be a photographer in New Zealand, and then I'm going to do this full time, I think I've never freaked them out more in my life.
Yeah.
Ever. No. But now that I have been able to like consistently make an income for the past 3 years, full-time as an artist, still hustling, which I am excited that one day that'll end. They're pretty proud of me and excited about it, and see that it was the right route, even though it's more unconventional.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. Okay. So I think you're a really good interview person because there's a lot of people who are in the hustle era that you're in. And let's talk about that. Let's see, any tips you have, or maybe any kind of stories or things that you've run up against to where your hustle and your drive has helped? Like, I know you've told us a couple already, but mainly just talking to the people who are currently in that hustle of like, and maybe they're getting a little tired and they're like, man, like this is tough, or and I guess I always would give the advice, like energy feeds off of wins. So like if you get a win and you get a job, you get a lot more energy from it. And then it just compounds and it just goes and goes and goes. And so I guess, what is your experience right now? Let's talk about it.
Oh, right now I'd say I'm tired, but in like a good way, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Like, it's been 3 years. I'm super stoked on it still. But you know when you like reach your goal and it's not exactly what you thought it would be?
What do you mean?
Like, it's more than I thought it would be.
Oh, good. Okay.
Which is so amazing and so exhausting at the same time. That the thing that's like really saved me is like my personal boundaries with my work, and how when I am with my friends and with my boyfriends and with family, I try and turn off my work. And I take a very intentional time to rest. Like, I'm on this very big project right now, 600 feet long. I had started last fall. The rain started, so I couldn't continue it. Instead of being like, no, I can't figure this out, like, I have to keep going, I was like, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to go on a spa weekend and relax. Because if I keep hustling every minute of every single day, I'm going to burn out. And then I was able to pick it up. I think I started 3 weeks ago, back up on the wall, which is super exciting. And when I'm done with this project, I'm probably going to take another spa weekend and just tell myself it's good, it's over, exciting, celebrate it, and then go find the next project. Because it's like, it's never ending, like it just keeps going and going. It's work, but it's also the thing you love most. So it's something you have to remember, like, you can't do it all the time, and you have to prioritize your people and your rest. And I think that's the one thing that keeps it going, is that I'm trying my best to be balanced, because I don't think you ever are fully like a balanced person. I think it's more of an act, like a balancing act.
Yeah.
Like, some days my work is way higher than I want it to be. And sometimes my like personal life and like fun things are way higher, which is always fun. But I just need to make sure that I'm doing my best to like balance them both. And it's okay if one like goes a little higher up than the other every now and then, because they'll balance each other out as life goes on.
So true.
Question.
Yeah, no, that was great. That's a great talking point, because you are smarter than I was back then, because I probably worked myself to burnout every year for several years. So I was like, yeah, it's summer, like let's do this. But I also had a scarcity mentality of, if I don't do it, and if I don't say yes to this and I don't take, the jobs while they're coming, then, they're going to run out one day, or like, and because sometimes, during you guys had the rainy season, like we would have winter that would slow down quite a bit. And so I would just overwork myself in the summer. And then when it slowed down, I'd be like, that's okay, I overworked myself. And then I just get jittery. I'm like, what do I need to do? Like, it's just so props to you for just being aware in that way.
Thanks. It's definitely tough to like remember to stay balancing. But yeah, like the summer here is insane. I'm like, okay, work, but make sure I play. And like next week, I'm going to California. I'm going to do some photos down there, but most of the time it's going to be like chill. And then after that, I have another work trip. And it's nice to know that I can still do fun things, even though it's the sunny season. It's not rainy right now, but I'm still going to go do something that's for me and for fun. But then when I'm back and I am boots on the ground here, I'm working so hard, because I know the winter's coming and it will get slower. But that's the time where I can sit in my studio and make my own art, and make art that's like just for me, that I want to showcase in galleries or sell prints of. Because when it comes to murals, I love that I can express myself, but most of them are for my clients, and it's for what they'll see every day and what they'll see in their homes every day. And especially if it's in like a residential place, like people are living there every day. It doesn't matter if it's my style or not. It's what they need, and what they need to feel joy every day. And I've done murals that I'm like, wow, I didn't know I could do that. We did it.
Yeah.
And it's been so fun.
I remember that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. It's like, especially, but you started with hyper realistic stuff, so you're a pretty competent artist coming into the mural thing, because there's so many that I coach that they're learning how to paint along with how to start a business. So it's both, but you focused on that early to where you could do. Did you find it tough, since you did hyper realism and you trained with that? Did you find it tough to transition to murals, to where you weren't taking a really, really long time on a big wall? Like, because there's a lot of artists that I talk to that you could spend so much time on a canvas to make it absolutely perfect, and then come to a mural, it's like, okay, to actually make money, we need to do this in 10 hours and not 100. How do we like?
Yeah, it's been a journey.
Okay.
Oh man, because when I started doing art as a business, I thought, I'm going to do hyperrealism. I'm going to do exactly what I studied in school. The first job I got to go full time was making clip arts as a
Oh.
graphic designer. That killed my ego instantly. Like, I love these clients. They're one of my favorite because they are the ones that made me go full time. But I taught myself how to do graphic design for them so that I could do it.
Yeah, you
And
do what
I
you gotta
sat
do.
myself and I was like, we're doing what we got to do. And I had no idea how much that would help me for murals, because I was able to learn how to simplify things and make it easier and like a little more fun, because I love hyperrealism, but it's a very serious art form. Like, it's not
It is.
extremely playful all the time, but murals, they're playful, they're geometric, they're bright, they're vibrant. They're supposed to bring a certain joy to people that hyperrealism brings sometimes more awe than like joy. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe someone did that. Versus like, oh wow, that makes me happy. I want to take a photo in front of it.
I love it. Well, I'm so excited to just keep following you and see where you're going to end up, because you have a special spark of a personality and you're so young, and and I don't mean to say so young it's and you can't, I don't know. Like, I mean it as
No,
in
I am
a
young.
good
That's
thing.
okay.
Okay? Like, I mean it as a good thing. You're getting such a start at a young age, and I wanna see where you're gonna be at, like, 43 and, like, 20 years from now, because
Dude,
as
me
a
too. I'm
career is
so
gonna
curious.
branch, and it's just, I think you have so much potential, I would say, and you're gonna be a fun one to watch, so I
Thank
will
you so
definitely
much.
keep
Oh my
following.
gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, do you have any little last bits of advice for, I guess, our listeners who wanna do what you're doing?
I'd say find people to look up to. I was growing up with like Instagram becoming a thing.
Yeah.
So the artists who were making it at 20, 23, 25, I didn't know who they were. All I knew were like the people that I was learning in art histories class, and
Oh,
I was
yeah.
obsessed with Van Gogh, Monet, like love them. But I didn't have anyone in my day-to-day that was doing the thing I wanted to do, so it was kind of discouraging as I kept trying and trying and trying, and everyone I would meet would just tell me it wasn't possible. And that was really tough. But because we have Instagram, we have Facebook, we have TikTok, we can find people to look up to and like learn from them and like reach out to. I made a friend with a muralist in the area. She's incredible. Her name's Bonnie Bridges. I love her. And I messaged her on Instagram because she followed me one time because my reel popped up on her feed. And then we got coffee and we became friends. And it was the biggest deal for me because I'd never in my life had somebody who was ahead of me in my career that I like personally knew. And that like I think changed my perspective, because even talking with you where you're like, the hustle ends. I'm like, oh, that's good to know. I didn't know. you know? And it's just been so important for me to realize like there's longevity to this career, and
Mhm.
it's different than like being a lawyer or a doctor, but it's so worth it and so much fun.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it definitely helps to have people who just to give you even like your mentor that sat you down to say, "Hey, make a website." Like, that's just little bits like that are so valuable to artists, just like little things. I remember getting advice when I was just advice about things that I still remember, of something random that an artist said, and just it stuck with me. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, I needed to hear that. Thank you." But yeah.
100%. Even like mentors. I had one mentor before I moved to New Zealand. She was just like, school will always be there. If it doesn't work out, you can go.
Yeah.
But bet on yourself now. Because she was like 50 and just getting her master's, and then she was going to go get her PhD. And I was like, how are you doing that now? She goes, still here.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much for spending time with us and to help inspire other artists to do what you're doing. We really appreciate you. And
Oh, of course. Thanks for having me on. It was so nice to meet you. Oh my goodness. I love your work, by the way. I don't think I said that yet, but your account is awesome.
thank you. I'm going to continue to follow you, and I recommend everybody listening to do the same. You're going to do big things. So
Thanks so
thank you.
much.
I'm going to end this really quick, and
Sounds good.
then